That other bat didn't have any hits in it.
No.
So he got rid of that one.
I want to circle back to that play in center field because I know you're not one of those guys that thinks everybody can play anywhere.
I do not think things are interchangeable. And I think sometimes when these new front offices think in a way where we have all these moving parts, I don't think it necessarily works that way. Jorge Mateo is a shortstop. And it's sun in your eyes. I get it. I see it. But the ball will have a way to find you. And the terminology that's used by front offices nowadays is, well, he's athletic, he can do it. If you played the infield your whole life, you've never been out to the pasture in the outfield. Never. And all of a sudden, here's an idea. Let's learn how to play the outfield at the big league level. Jose Altuve, Mr. Astro, right? World Series champion. This is in spring training. There's just something not quite right about going out to the pasture and playing. Jazz Chisholm with the Marlins, who did they move him to center for? Oh, you can't play in here. We got this kid we want you to move for. Who is that? We don't know. This push and play, and I'm not even close to coming down on these players. That is not my thing.
Understood.
In yesteryear's game, you had a utility player. You had a second utility player that they were pretty much kind of in the infield. Mm-hmm. And then you had a fourth and fifth outfielder. What's wrong with that configuration? The fourth and fifth outfielder have played outfield their whole life. And these matchups, and we're going to get this little edge, and this is what we can do. How about stop and run scoring? Because there's no way in the world you can convince me. You can show me every metric, every number, every thought process that goes into it. You cannot put your best defensive team on the field by having rotating pieces constantly.
What about the kid that grew up in West Allis, Wisconsin,
right
next
Batman?
to County Stadium, and said, well, number 19 did it, Billy. How come everybody else can't do it?
He did, and not everybody's going to get away with it. Look, Tony Phillips back in the day, that super utility player, right? He's the one who kind of did his thing doing that. But it just doesn't work. Are you going to find there's always going to be like the outside liar to me? But when you put the guys out in the outfield, and a lot of the conversation is now with all this information we're giving you, we're putting the player in his best position to succeed. I don't think putting a guy in the outfield that's played his whole life in the infield is his best chance to succeed.
What about in the case of the young player who's trying to create more opportunities for himself with a big league team? I'm thinking about Campbell, the kid in Boston. Right, somebody who's on the verge of major league superstardom. He's selling himself on his versatility. Is that different than the veteran guy that's being asked to go out there?
You know, maybe, but I certainly don't want to see it learned at the big league level. I really don't. If you have, designs on a guy and if you want to develop that, I guarantee they're not developing that in the minor leagues. If you want to develop a player, if you think that's your organizational philosophy, then you do that to the kid playing A-ball. Do that to the kid playing AA and actually put him in a position where he can learn that stuff. I just don't see it. I think that the teams that go out there and play best are usually the teams that go out there and say, okay, you play there, you play there, you play there, you play there. And at the end of the day, we're going to be better than the other team.
Brewers season could not have started out in worse shape, being swept by the Yankees. Since they've righted the ship to a large degree, they take 3 out of 4 from the Reds at American Family Field. Jackson Chourio, I mean, he's still a kid. He's going to be a kid for the next 5 years. What a talent.
Well, I tell you what, you tried to rush him with a heater in, and he quick swung it and beat you to the spot, and then gets a breaking ball that's just hanging and spinning and saying, hit me. And he says, yeah, I'll do you a favor and I'll hit you. But I love everything about this kid. I like his energy. I like the fact before he played in the big leagues, the Brewers offered him up 8 years of a contract. He dove across the table and signed it. He's got some security. Man can go out there and play baseball.
Hitting .307 since last year's All-Star break. We know he started out the year a little bit wobbly, but got it back together quickly. Still a little wobbly, I think, are the Reds.
Yeah.
And I want to read this because I don't want to get it wrong. Feast or famine is what we'll call this
lineup.
Fair. They'd scored 2 runs during a 4-game losing streak. They were shut out for 35 straight innings. Then in their last 2 wins entering Sunday, they combined to score 25 runs on 28 hits. When they win big. When they lose, they go down very quietly. Yeah, when things go right for Mr. Redlegs, he's loving life, right? Jamer Candelario from the left side, pop. Ellie from both sides, pop. He can run. He's an MVP candidate. Matt McClain's healthy again. That makes a world of difference for the Reds. But, man, when things get dark, Mr. Redlegs changes into a very nasty, stingy character, and nothing seems to go right. So let me ask you, for a young lineup like this, Bill, is just kind of a function of their youth?
I mean, just to kind of drive home what you said, in that 4-game losing streak, they scored 2 runs. It's not per game. That was 2 runs in 4 games. And just to be clear on that, and look, you mentioned Mr. Redlegs. They need their legs underneath them a little bit more. I think what they're doing is they're bringing in some nice young talent. and they're going to start filling in some spots to play. And I think in some cases you will run into that feast or famine setup where they go out there and everything's flowing, everything's right, their confidence goes, and maybe when things aren't going right, they're doubting themselves a little bit, they squeeze the bat a little bit tighter, and things just don't go right. But I think they're going to be fine. I think Terry Francona at the head of this organization to manage these guys, he's got a really good reputation of dealing with young talent and dealing with young talent well. And I don't think there's going to be any difference with them there.
They were a lot of people's kind of sneaky picks to be that big win improvement club of 2025. Still plenty of time for that.
Tonight we're hosting session 7 out of 8 for our Marlins Nike RBI clinics. We do these Nike RBI development clinics over the course of the winter to better our athletes and work on those fundamentals so they're ready for RBI season, but also brushing up during high school season. And we've had Noble Meyer out here, our professional pitcher, who's on the younger side, where hopefully our athletes can really relate to what he's doing and driving that message.
Well, my best nights growing up were nights like this, kind of late at night, school's done, just get to hang out in a park under the lights. To see that here with all these kids here, yeah, it's awesome to see them out here and kind of just growing the sport of baseball.
O sea, nos dio su punto de vista de todo lo que hace, pues, que uno quiere llegar a eso, a Grandes Ligas también. Es algo bueno, pues, uno ver y escuchar de parte de él todo lo que ha aprendido y lo que ha vivido. Esto es algo que le sirve mucho a mucha gente.
Tonight we're going to be focusing on catching, so they're going to be learning blocking techniques, framing techniques, and a few other techniques like throw downs, run downs, all of that cool stuff.
So when they transfer, throw them the next ball, okay?
And we have some tri-sport athletes out here as well today, and just really developing what Nike RBI is all about, especially in the South Florida community, and just getting more kids playing baseball and softball.
Go Marlins!